Our next section here is e-communications, electronic communications. Electronic communication is a type of communication between people in the form of texting, signals, data, sounds, images, and so on. That's using an electronic device. So any form of communication using an electronic device, that's your e-communication. Since e-communication is online, there's a chance of cyber criminals getting hold of your information. Therefore, we have some sort of security, for example, encryption. Encryption is the process of encoding a message or information so that only authorized parties can access it. So encryption is encoding a message. With encryption, any data sent between two computers is changed from something that is useful to encrypted data that is meaningless. So encryption means encoding a message and the message becomes meaningless. And it is difficult for unauthorized parties to decrypt it. The decrypted message can only be decoded by a decryption key. So once the message is encoded or encrypted, then it is meaningless to read if anyone intercepts it. But if you have the key to decrypt it, the decryption key, then only the data can be converted back to a meaningful form. Now, the purpose of encryption, so that hackers cannot see, for example, usernames and passwords. That's one example. By encrypting personal data such as username and passwords, even if the website is hacked and its database is stolen, the hackers cannot see the username and password. The encryption key is generally stored separately. So there's no access to the encryption key, so the data cannot be decrypted. Now, how does encryption work? Websites that have HTTPS, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, if they have that in the URL, they are using encryption. That means the information is being encrypted. All your banking sites and where you're filling your passwords, your usernames, your personal details should have an HTTPS there to show that the site is encrypted. This prevents your data from being read by hackers. Most online services today also encrypt your personal user information in the database. So the information they get about you is encrypted in the database. So if hackers gain access to the database, it's in encrypted form. Now, what is SSL? When you enter data on a normal HTTP website, that's a normal website without the S, the data is sent to the website as plain unencrypted text, and hackers can intercept this message so they can read it. Now, this is problematic when online shopping and logging into accounts and you have credit card information. Your username and passwords can be read. So websites can use HTTPS to encrypt any traffic sent from user to the website. So your HTTP becomes HTTPS, especially for online shopping and logging into your accounts. HTTPS does this by using SSL. So SSL is Secure Sockets Layer. That is being used by websites to ensure that your data is encrypted. And those websites are now shown as HTTPS. Now, the purpose of Secure Sockets Layer, it adds a security layer to any web page. Any message that is sent to the website first passes through the security layer, so it encrypts a message before it goes to the website. When the website returns information, this information is again sent through the security layer and encrypted before being sent to the user. To see if a website is secure, you look at the HTTPS, the protocol that's being used. There's a protocol as an example, and you look for the small lock next to your URL. This is your URL, and this is HTTPS. It's part of your URL, and that shows it's secure. Now, websites use public and private key encryption. So there's two forms of encryption. One is public key and one is private key. Your public key encryption means this. The public key is public, which means that all messages you send and all information you submit on the internet contains a public key. Hackers can see this public key, but they cannot use it to unlock encrypted information. So if you have a public key, if hackers gain access, they can only see the public key, but they cannot use it to unlock or decrypt the information. To decrypt or unlock this information, you need a private key, and the private key is only kept by, or it's kept a secret by the computer, and you never share to anyone. So your private key, you will have a private key, but you will send a public key. And no, this is how it works. The receiver of the message creates both the public and the private key. So if you're the one that's going to receive the message, you're going to create both the public and the private key. The receiver sends a public key to the sender to encrypt the message to be sent. So the person that's going to send you the message will receive the public key for encryption, and when you receive the message, you're able to decrypt it with a private key. So private key stays with the receiver of the message. So the receiver of the message is the one that creates both the public and the private key. But the public key is sent for encrypting the message, but the private key is retained to decrypt the message when it is received. That's your public key encryption. Now we're looking at private key encryption. Private key encryption only has one key. Data is encrypted and decrypted using a single key that only the sender and receiver know. So sender and receiver share one key, and that's the only key used to encrypt and decrypt the data. Whereas public key has both the keys, public and private. Your SSL, Secure Sockets Layer Certificate. Websites use the certificate to prove their identity. So to say that a website is secure, it needs a certificate to prove that the identity and that it is secure. To obtain an SSL certificate, websites must apply for a certificate with a certification authority. This is what a certificate looks like. The URL, who it is issued to, or the domain name, and issued by the company by which it's issued, and how long the certificate is valid. All SSL certificates should contain the following information: the domain name the certificate is valid for, right, for who it is valid, the certificate authority, the CA, who created the certificate, and the dates the certificate is valid for. This is your SSL certificate for the secure websites. And the reason and the purpose for the certificate: it ensures that encrypted information is only sent to the correct website and not to malicious or phishing websites. So if you're going to a banking website, you can check the certificate to ensure that it is the correct website and not a phishing website. Now the browser will compare the certificate it receives with that from the certification authority. So it compares the certificates and it warns you if there's a problem with the site or the certificate. Now for security reasons on the network, we also have firewalls, or communicating online, firewalls. Now firewalls come in two forms. Okay, firstly, on computers, firewalls prevent malicious users and viruses from sending data to and receiving data from your computer. So it protects your computer from online activities and malicious users. Now there are three types of firewalls. One is software that are installed on the user's computer and protects a single computer, like your Windows firewall. It's on your computer and you can protect your computer, so you can go and look at the features that Windows firewall have. Then you have software firewalls that are installed on a server or router that protects all computers on the network. So this is not installed on the computer, but on a server or on a router. These are both software firewalls. Hardware firewalls are those that are installed between a local network and an internet and protects all computers on the network. So your hardware firewall looks like this. This is an example of a hardware firewall. It looks like a switch, but it protects, it's a physical protection between the local area network and the internet. Okay, so that is your information on e-communication for grade 12. The application can be completed from your DBE textbook. There's one on page 123 and there's a consolidation activity.